Severin Bennett, everybody. Give him something that makes noise and he'll turn it into music. Good morning. Everybody's a little up and agitated this morning. That's okay, I guess. Hello. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Church. My name is Gary Hart, and I will be your worship associate today as we seek to represent progressive religious thought and morally driven democratic processes in the South Bay. If you're new here today, we want you to know we have religious exploration for school-age kids that begins directly after the children's moment. We welcome people of all creeds, races, sexual orientations, and gender identities. Let us acknowledge that we gather upon the traditional territories of the Tongva people, among the original nations of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We worship in a space that has been sacred for thousands of years. And now, a whole bunch of announcements. Lunch today is by John Hocutt, and it's a vegan lunch. So bring your own meat. The Pacific Sage Preschool will host Dia de los Muertos Family Day on Saturday, November 1st from 12:30 to 4:30. Come honor your loved ones with joy. $13,815. Oh, that's what the auction brought in, by the way. And there's a table out there, and they're bringing in more. There are still items you can bid on. You need to pick up if you bought one of the 400 number items that were along this wall. So go see them at the auction table. I think we've got about half the auction bills have been paid already, so the rest of you, that would be helpful. $13,815 is a great amount. And speaking of happy times, the Dick's Death Cafe will be on Saturday, October 4th at 10 a.m. here in the sanctuary. We invite everyone to attend, especially if you haven't yet. This is a social franchise that simply provides a space to talk about death. The next Social Justice Friday film will be on October 3rd, starting at 6 p.m. This month's film is American Agitators, a documentary film chronicling the life and teachings of Fred Ross Sr. The film shows how collective action can combat racism, bigotry, and greed, and we need to be doing more and more of that. Also, there'll be a blood drive here at PUC on Tuesday, October 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come give us some of your blood. And Haven's class on class and classism will begin, when is that going to be? Oh, today at 12:30 in the library, and we'll continue on for 5 more sessions throughout October and November, and Haven would like to come up and ask a question.
Yes, how many people think they might be here for that? Just so I can get a count. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now it's time for the chalice lighting. Today's chalice lighting words were abstracted from Sarah Eileen Lawal's poem, Out of the Flames. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise.
Good morning again. Good morning. I'm Pastor Joshua. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's wonderful to see you all this lovely Sunday morning. I also wanted to mention something else that's happening on Saturday. The Death Cafe is at 10 a.m. And then at 2 a.m., you'll see a poster out there. And sorry it wasn't in the newsletter this week, but we've been putting on social media. Their progressive group called South Bay for All is organizing something at 2 p.m. here on Saturday called Fall Frost. And what it is, it's going to assist vendors, immigrant vendors. It's a kickoff of this program that so they don't have to worry about selling their wares on the street and being taken away by ICE. It's going to facilitate selling their wares, this program, so people will buy them, and then this program will distribute them so they don't have to be out on the street. And it also raised money for immigrants as well. So at 2 o'clock on Saturday after the Death Cafe, there'll be the kickoff of this program with music and food and all kinds of things. And you can learn more about it. I'm not explaining it very well. Anyway, all right, so let's continue with the call to worship. I'm going to blow this shofar because it's Rosh Hashanah. Thank you. And actually, Rosh Hashanah has just passed, and that's, of course, the Jewish New Year. So I wanted to start this service with blowing the shofar and a reading about the Jewish New Year from the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism of Fairfield County, of Fairfield County, Connecticut. It took a little out of me. This is the introduction to their humanistic Jewish service on Rosh Hashanah. And they write, "We assemble to the sound of the shofar to review and reconsider our lives. Rosh Hashanah, or the Jewish New Year, heralds an opportunity for new beginnings. Now is the time to pause and to reflect, to evaluate the past year, and to discard what no longer fits the person we want to be. Self-reflection, self-evaluation, self-renewal, these are the tasks that we are called to by the shofar's blast. Our minds are open to broader issues, but Rosh Hashanah reminds us to begin with self-improvement." And with that, please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 188, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." Do you want me to accompany you on the shofar? No, he's good, he's good. All right.
Soon the day will arise, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Soon the day will arrive when we will live together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunderclouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our heart. Now the torch must be passed with an hope not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Or yeah, I got the hymn name wrong. It was an earlier version of the script, but you got it. Awesome. And so now we have a special treat. So the High Holy Days, if you don't know, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur collectively are called the Days of Awe. Lately, it could be the Days of Awe. But I think it's supposed to be the Days of Awe. So Haven has a story today that really made me think about what we consider awesome. So as he reads it, I'd like you to consider too, what is awesome for you? What represents awe? Thank you.
Thank you.
So everybody young at heart, or who dresses younger, please come up and join us.
All right, we got the crew here today. All right, how often do you imagine if you were just someplace else, you would experience so many greater things? How often do you think that? If you just were somewhere else. How about out in the audience?
Yeah.
If you were just somewhere else, you would experience so many different, better things. All right,
consider
we
that
have
sometimes.
a
Yeah,
story
I do. I consider that.
of someone who does exactly that. It's called Shine. The story is by Patrick McDonnell, art by Naoko Stoop. All right, little Hoshi was a star, a sea star who lived in the ocean. Every night he would gaze at the twinkling stars in the sky above and make a wish. I wish I were there instead of here. Up there where all is fine. Up there where I would shine. Oh, poor little me, a star stuck in the sea. As the sun rose and the stars disappeared, the tide swept little Hoshi back into the water. I should be floating among the colorful planets, Hoshi thought, as she floated among the colorful coral. Imagine all the unique and wonderful friends you could meet up there, she told her unique and wonderful neighbors. Up there are exciting and endless possibilities, she explained to the exciting, endless schools of minnows. Where could you see something so magnificent down here, she wondered aloud to the magnificent blue whale.
I think she's missing something. Anyway, go ahead.
I want to shine, cried little Hoshi. I wish I were there instead of here. Down here, nothing is fine. Down here, I'll never shine. Oh, poor little me, a star stuck in the sea. Everyone tried to cheer her up, but she turned and swam far away, down, down, down into the deepest waters where she floated to the murky bottom. Little Hoshi gazed out into the darkness until she saw a star. A star! She closed her eyes and made her wish. The star came closer and closer and closer, but it wasn't a star at all.
Oh.
It was an anglerfish with her glowing light. Why are you here and not up there? The anglerfish asked the little sea star. That's what I want to know, replied Hoshi. Oh, would you tell me how you shine? It's my pleasure, said the anglerfish. I shine because I'm happy. Happy to be here. Happy to be there. Happy to be anywhere. Because happiness, my dear, is always found right here. And the anglerfish pointed to her heart and shined, and all her deep sea mates joined in. Ooh-wee, said little Hoshi, thank you. And she swam up, 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 where everyone welcomed her home. She gazed at her colorful, magnificent world and her unique, wonderful friends. And for the first time, she saw so many exciting and endless possibilities. Then little Hoshi looked into her happy heart and shined. Thank you.
Yay! We find awe right here, right where we are.
Go now in peace.
And I want to guys, if you want to try this, take this with you. If you guys want to try blowing it, you can look at it. It's a ram's horn. Figure they may want to try it. Yeah, thank you. reverberating in your body, and the space between all bodies. Beloved, listen. Find that exuberant vibration, rising new in every moment, humming in your secret places, resounding through the channels of delight. Know you are flooded by it always. Float with the sound. Melt with it into divine silence. The sacred power of space will carry you into the dancing, radiant emptiness that is the source of all. The ocean of sound is inviting you into its spacious embrace, calling you home. You may remain seated for our centering hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. Danger, change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night.
I'm going to be talking about what we all, even us atheists and humanists, might consider divine, what we would consider, in lieu of, creator, what we would consider an earthly divine, a humanistic divine, and also recognizing awe. And for both of those things, I thought it appropriate that I read some thoughts by my mother, who died last week. She wrote in her 30s. It was September 1974. She wrote this poem called Thoughts by Mickey Berg, who would later become Dr. Mickey Berg. And this, if you can picture her sitting on a porch in a suburb of Detroit, very small house, in one of those horrible lawn chairs with the neoprene strips. One of them is like broken all the time, in a large flowery dress with my three brothers and myself running around, driving her crazy, my sister at her knee, and my other sister nursing, all six of us. And she went in the house and wrote this thoughts. Sorry. How tired I am. This may not have been the best idea. Tisha, would you mind? I think Tisha. This is my wife, Tisha. But thank you, Gary, for the offer. Be careful. Thank you.
Okay. Thoughts by Mickey Berg. How tired I am at the end of a day, the children silent in their beds, and too, their daddy sleeps away, just like my other sleepy heads. My body aches from lifting them, for they are babies still and all. Each one is like a precious gem, as now their silence seems to call. Mommy, do you love me much? And will you fix my sore? Oh, Mommy, just a little touch. I promise not to ask for more. Now the baby has his diaper off, and Joshie hurts his knee. Don't worry, it's just a little cough. God will fix it, wait and see. Mommy, put it right side up and make it just be mine. I want my Kool-Aid in a cup. Will it be soon, when I'll be 9? I can see right down to the bottom. Uh-oh, I spilled the juice. Tomorrow I'll do it another game. Look, Ma, my tooth is loose. Mommy, what's that funny smell? The guys are coming here to play. Mommy, aren't you feeling well? Will Grandma come again today? Why can't we eat our dinner yet? Why do I have to take a nap? Everyone else has a TV set. Mommy, please, can I sit on your lap? I'm tired, Mom. Put me to nap. I worked and played so hard today. And don't forget my new team, BAP. It's up the tree fort, by the way. And now, I've time to sit a while, a pastime that is rare. I look around and feel a smile, a secret that I share. And as the silence calls to me, I tiptoe to their beds. Behold these miracles to see. I place a kiss on their heads.
Oh, thanks. That's what she considered divine. It was the 70s, so we didn't have a TV set yet. Where was I? And thank you, Tisha, for reading that. So the call to worship today was an invitation to continue. It was an invitation for me to continue a quest I've been on my whole life, but really since becoming a UU, I've really gotten into this quest deeply, and that's to investigate more thoroughly my Jewish religious heritage, what I grew up with. And the struggle of this investigation intensified in the past few weeks. First, for some reason, in the middle of August, I decided I need to read the Torah, the Hebrew Bible, something I've meant to do for a long time. And certainly, I have a lot of knowledge of what's in the Torah, gained from my upbringing, my Jewish upbringing, and from my seminary education. But I've never actually read it word for word, cover to cover. This is the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible. And in Jewish congregations, the Torah is actually read annually from the beginning to end. So it's separated into chapters, one per week, one per Shabbat, and it's read from beginning to end every year, a chapter a week. So the framework for me to read it over the course of a year was readily available. It's already separated into the chapters. Although the reading of the Torah actually begins pretty soon, like they start over again On the holidays, it's called Shavuot or Shavuos, and that's in the fall, and that's where they start again reading the first chapter, which is called Bereshit, or In the Beginning. But I decided to start reading in the middle of August, because that's just when the inspiration hit me. So I began with a chapter called Akav, and it's a chapter in the book of Deuteronomy, or in Hebrew, Devarim, and it finds Moses in the chapter talking to the Israelites in the desert about preparing to enter the land that's promised to them by God, the land of Israel, after having been freed from slavery in Egypt. And I've continued from that chapter, reading the chapter set aside for each Shabbat, and beginning this undertaking as an atheist myself, I knew there would be things with which I did not align, as well as things that upset me. But honestly, having received much of my information about the Torah through this filter of my upbringing, the filter of Hebrew school, and the filter of all these rabbis who always interpreted it positively, it turns out that they left out quite a bit of information that, I don't know how I wrote this. Bottom line is, I didn't think, having been raised that way, that reading it, I would actually be disturbed as much as I was. If I'm honest, much of what I have read so far has actually shocked me. It depicts a jealous God, an autocratic God, whose main goal is to demand, on threat of violence and on threat of death, that the Israelites believe in and obey him absolutely, and that any other peoples who have different beliefs can and often should be destroyed, dispossessed from their lands violently for the sole sin of not believing in this God. It was disturbing to me. It wasn't stuff I had been taught in Hebrew school. The text describes how God would curse the Israelites if they abandoned him and abandoned his commandments. I won't read that text right now, but it's where I'm at now. It's called the second song of Moses, because Moses has two songs in the Torah. It's also called Ha'azini, or Ha'azinu, and it's Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 1 through 52, if you want to read it. But this lists some truly horrific things that would happen to the Israelites if they abandon God, including forcing the Israelites who don't follow God into such a desperate state that they have no choice but to turn to filial cannibalism. It's actually in there. It kind of surprised me. In addition, this section of Deuteronomy includes direct instructions to dispossess and destroy people who inhabit the land of Canaan, opening it for possession by the Israelites. Obviously, the text aligns very closely with what is happening today in Israel and Palestine, and has even been referenced by some of the Israeli government. The text also, don't worry, I'm going to turn this around into something positive. The text also talks openly of slavery without condemnation. Many of you probably know that about the Bible. It referred to wives as a husband's garment in the text. And it calls for stoning to death for various offenses against God, the primary one being promoting other religious beliefs or dissuading others from believing in God, which I am guilty of myself. So I'm thinking I would be stoned to death, conceivably. So in fairness, I read this text without commentary, without rabbinic commentary, without analysis, just literally. And I know many Jews, including many in my own family, who celebrated my mother in a Jewish way, derive positive meaning. And they find a call to compassion and to love from alternate interpretations of the texts in the Torah. And I respect that. If you can come to love, if you can come to empathy and compassion, I don't care how you get there. And they get there through Judaism. But given my recent reading of the Torah and my orientation toward belief in God, which is I don't, having a Jewish memorial service for my mother, who died this past September 12th, and having a nightly Jewish service while sitting her Shiva, and that's the mourning process that we do after the Celebration of Life Memorial. Part of it was difficult for me. I have to say, though, that the female rabbi, Rabbi Elisha, who it was a Reform rabbi, did a wonderful job celebrating my mother. There were many lovely stories told about my mom. However, the Jewish prayers, especially at the Shiva service, were exclusively about honoring this God in whom I do not believe. So while we celebrated my mother's life, I kept asking myself how anyone made meaning from these prayers, what they had to do with my mother. What compounded my struggle with all of this was an answer I gave myself to that question. And that answer is that my mother connected deeply with these prayers. They would have been meaningful for her vis-a-vis our family's ancestral Jewish faith. And since she died right before Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, I decided to consider her connection further by thinking about one of the Bible passages read on Rosh Hashanah. And that is, so they read a chapter a week, but on the High Holy Days, they jump back and read certain meaningful chapters as well. So they read Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 through 19. You may know this story. In Hebrew, it is called the Akedah. And in English, it is either called the binding of Isaac or the sacrifice of Abraham. God tests Abraham by commanding him to sacrifice his only son, Issac, or Isaac, as a burnt offering. So Abraham deceives his wife Sarah and his overly trusting son Isaac. He ties Isaac up, takes out a knife to slay him before cremating him. But then God stops Abraham, confident that Abraham truly fears him, which seems to be the most important thing to God, and provides a ram for the sacrifice in Isaac's stead. And I blew a ram's horn today. It's a connection to the story. So they sacrifice a ram instead of Isaac. And God then tells Abraham that because he obeyed, he would be guaranteed countless descendants that would take possession of the cities of their enemies, blessing all nations with their occupation. More parallels to Israel and Gaza. The theme of this story seems to be, from my perspective, that someone, Abraham, is held up as righteous by his willingness to deceive his family in order to kill his own child in a sacrifice to a deity that would require this extreme blind faith and fearful obedience, and then reward it by guaranteeing the violent appropriation of all others' lands by a single family lineage. Needless to say, at first glance, I wasn't finding it meaningful. However, because my mother connected with our Jewish heritage, and she loved the High Holy Days services, in addition to asking the question, what does this story literally mean, which is what I was asking, I began asking, what might the celebration of High Holy Days, and specifically this story of sacrifice to the divine, mean to my mother? If I believe I am descended from sensible, intelligent, thoughtful, and compassionate people, and that includes most of my family, including my mother, would it not be my obligation to explore how they might interpret such a story, or where they find meaning in Judaism in general, to respect them and do that for them? Further, there are countless sensible, intelligent, thoughtful, and compassionate people whose connection to religion is also seemingly irreconcilable with my own. If I am to be in relationships working with others toward mutual peace on earth, which is exactly what my Unitarian Universalist values demand of me, is it not my obligation to consider what motivates those wonderful people to the same quest for peace? The fact is, there will never come a day when all people believe the same thing, where truth is somehow singular, where were I to live as if the world would be a better place only if everyone thought like me, would I not then be the fanatic that I deride? And I know it's hard to believe, but I'm not always right. So with this in mind, I began thinking more about this story, the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, as allegory, and looking for an alternative meaning, as most religious people read it. And what I came up with is that the story can also be a call to consider what anyone believes to be divine in this world and what they would sacrifice for that divine. Abraham considered God divine. He chose what he would sacrifice. What do we consider divine? And what would we sacrifice for that? For instance, if I truly respect the natural world and our interconnectivity with the natural world and with each other, if I truly aspire to the greater good of all humanity as a humanist, as a UU, as a human being, what would I sacrifice to demonstrate that I trust and respect those things as divine? Well, I would never sacrifice a child, but what about my privilege? What about my comfort? What about my safety in taking on challenges that would put me or my family in peril? To ultimately, would I sacrifice that safety to ultimately save humankind and save the planet? I cling to so many unnecessary and unacceptable things simply out of comfort and routine that I could, and I probably should, sacrifice for this divine as I understand it. It's my new understanding of the story. And I think my mom's understanding of the story. It took on this new meaning. And it took it on along with another important question regarding my mother's connection to Judaism. So what did my mother consider divine? What was the thing she would sacrifice all for? It was us, her children. One of the things. It was also human connection, and especially connection to everyone she knew and everyone she loved. She would sacrifice anything for that. So the shofar blast each high holy days, what it heralded for my mother was not a call to honor the God of Abraham necessarily, but an opportunity for new beginnings, for rekindling broken connections to people that she loved. And we did that. So many of us got together in her celebration of life that never would have come together. Unfortunately, that was the way she did it, but Judaism connected her to the divine as she understood it, which is the same thing she talked about, like I said, in the poem she wrote when I was a child. It is that thing is relationship with loved ones. Okay, I'm repeating myself here. Her connection to Judaism facilitated this divine connection, and for that reason, it was vital that she honored that connection. In fact, I remember asking her when I was struggling, and it was during High Holy Days a few years ago, about her religious beliefs. It's like, why do you believe these things? Why do you attend services? Why are you connected so deeply to Judaism? She didn't mention anything about the literal meaning of what was in the Torah. In fact, I'm fairly certain she hadn't read it word for word, nor did she care to. She simply told me, quote, "I love the music of Kol Nidre." Kol Nidre is the group of prayers sung on the evening of Yom Kippur, the holiday where Jews are meant to repent for harms they have committed against others. And for her, Kol Nidre, or Kol Nidre, was just beauty. You'll hear it later today because Severin and Robin are going to play Kol Nidre for us. More importantly, Kol Nidre represented what Dr. Mickey Berg considered divine. It represented what she would sacrifice anything for: reconnection to beloved family and community, That's when it was brought together, High Holy Days. Listening to Kol Nidre, surrounded by loved ones, reminded of loved ones from past generations doing the same thing, getting together with family. That represented God to her. And Kol Nidre pulled it together for her. I began this sermon by calling it a quest into my Jewish heritage, into texts that I have avoided, and a quest complicated by grief at my mother's death. And on that path, I found things I expected. My disbelief and my discomfort with a violent and jealous God was there. But I also found one answer to the question of why bother with Judaism at all? Why bother with connection to your cultural faith of origin, whatever it is? And the answer for me is relationship with family, relationship and connection to ancestry. It is a relationship with people of faith whose traditions may seem very alien to me, but whose hearts are set like mine on compassion and justice. It is the relationship with my mother, who may not have even known the literal words of the Torah, but to whom the music and the ritual and the community represented what she held most dear. As we celebrated my mom's life the other week, I realized that laughing and crying with family, telling story after story, and enjoying our time together is what she and I would sacrifice anything for. It was what meant God to her. Thank you, Mom, for reminding me that divinity lies in caring for and loving each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Joshua. That was pretty amazing. And now we can talk money. Time for the offertory. We are grateful for your continued gifts to PUC. If you would like to give online today, you can scan the QR code to give with Zelle or PayPal. Or you could just simply drop your wallet into Gabby's end basket. As usual. Today, it's a true story that really happened. They have dug in the caves and through Unitarian history and finally have come up with the answer to an age-old question that we ask ourselves over and over again: how many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? Well, the answer they've finally found is, it depends on how many committees there are. And I see we have burnout light bulbs, so we're going to have to get Melissa to start some new committees. Thank you. That's pretty amazing, Robin and Sarah, thank you so much. And with that and $5, you get a free, almost free lunch. Time for the affirmation of gratitude. This is such a, I was thinking about this when I was writing my script for today. This is such a powerful statement. So please, as you read along, please hear the words as you recite them. They are truly amazing. Let's start. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others. Everybody would like to stand up if you could, hold hands, or send your vibrations to our fellow congregants. I have to say, you are a good-looking bunch of people from up here. Well, a few exceptions. This beloved community is dedicated to the proposition that within all our differences, in all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one, a bond that holds us together. In spite of time and death and the space between the stars, we rise in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. So be it. Amen, Ashe, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins. Please stay for the postlude.
Today's postlude.
Is it still on? We need the microphones. Okay.
In keeping with the theme of love and family and how important that is, today's song was written by Blaze Foley, and it's a song about two people in love who, due to exigent circumstances, can't be together. I almost felt you touching me just now. I wish you knew which way to turn and go. I feel so good, then I feel so bad. I wonder what I ought to do. If I could only fly. If I could only fly, I'd bid this place goodbye to come and be with you. But I can hardly stand, got nowhere to run. Another sinking sun, one more lonely night. The wind keeps blowing somewhere every day. Tell me things get better somewhere up the way. Just dismal thinking on a dismal day, and sad songs for us to beg. If I could only fly, if I could only fly, I'd bid this place goodbye, come be with you. can hardly stand. Got nowhere to run. Another sinking sun. One more lonely night. You know, sometimes when things go wrong, and justice comes that was gone so long, it's hard for me to think that we will smile. Tomorrow maybe will be better days. Something's coming that will pave the way. We will all be together once again. If I could only fly, if I could only fly, I'd bid this place goodbye. Come be with you. But I can hardly stand. Got nowhere to run. Another sinking sun. One more lonely night. If I could only fly, if you could only fly, if we could only fly, there'd be no more